Converting units of measurement, concentrating on length. If we want to use our King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate's milk, which represents kilo, hecto, deca, unit, deci, centi, milli, then the most important thing to know is that the metre represents the units place. So metre is the unit of measurement for length. Okay, so how do we use this? Well, first of all, if you're asked to convert metres to centimetres, I would stress that you realise it's 2 jumps. And this system is based on our counting system, which is base 10. And if you move 2 places in our counting system, just like here, that means 100 times. So either you're getting 100 times smaller or 100 times bigger. So moving 2 places from metre to centimetre, there are 100 centimetres in a metre, and a metre is the same, and a centimetre is the same as 0.01 metre, which is 100th of a metre. So a centimetre is 100th of a metre, and a metre is equal to 100 of the centimetres. Therefore, if I'm asked to convert between milli and centi, this is jumping 1 place. So that means that one is 10 times bigger than the other. The centimetre is 10 times bigger than the milliliter is 10 times smaller than the centimetre. So just like our counting system, going to the left each time gets 10 times bigger each jump, and going to the right will get 10 times smaller each jump. If I jump 2 places, then it's getting 100 times bigger. That to there will be 100 times bigger, 100 times bigger, and this way would be 100 times smaller. And then you realise that from milli to metre, you're jumping 3 places. So that represents 1,000. 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times bigger. So there are 1,000 millimetres in 1 metre, and a millimetre is 0.001 of a metre. So it's 1,000th of a metre. So 1,000 small millimetres in a metre. Okay, so how is that going to help us? Right, let me get the first example. So as I said before, 1 metre would be 100 centimetres. 1 metre would equal 1,000 millimetres. 1 metre equals 10 decimetres. But what if you're asked something more complicated? For example, what if you're asked how many centimetres is the same as 1.65 metres? Alright, so they want to know how many centimetres are in 1.65 metres, and I'm writing my 1.65 metres here because this is my metres place and I've got 1 of them. Then I've got 0.65. All you have to do is look here and you say, okay, 1.65 metres is the same as 165 centimetres. If you don't particularly like using this and get confused, then what I would say is when they ask you to change metres to centimetres, think to yourself that's 2 jumps. So my decimal point has to jump 2 jumps. And when it jumps 2 jumps, I get 165. If you're then asked, how do I write my 165 centimetres as a mixed number of metres? Then we have a look here and we say it's 1 whole metre and 65 hundredths, because that's 65 and the centis in the hundredths place, decis in the tenth, millis in the thousandth. So you've got 1 whole metre and 65 hundredths of a metre. So I can write that there, 1 whole and 65 hundredths. Okay, the next question asks, what is 0.32 metres as centimetres? Okay, so if you're going to write 0.32 metres, we don't have any metres because it's 0.32 of them, so you write 0.32. To change it to centimetres, here are my centimetres. I just say then it's 32 centimetres. If you don't like using this, then I would just say from metre to centi is 2 places, 2 jumps. So the decimal point jumps 2 places. And then you have, and it jumps to the right because centimetres are smaller, so there's more of them. So you get 32. If they ask you to express this as a fraction of a metre, so they want to know how many 32 centimetres are as a metre, well, as a decimal it's 0.32, because we know we've just done that. I should maybe write metre here in centimetre so you don't get confused. So as a decimal, 32 centimetres is 0.32 metres. As a fraction, have you guessed it? As a fraction of a metre, well, here we are in the hundredths house. You've got 32 hundredths, so it's 32 hundredths of a metre. So there you have it. 0.32 metres is the same as 32 hundredths of a metre, which is 32 centimetre. The next question they ask is, what is 275 centimetres as metres? Okay, if you're going to use your number headings here, then you have to put 275 in the centimetres place. Right, so I'm going to do that now. I've got 275 centimetres, and they want to know how many metres that is. So I look at my headings, there are my metres. Oh look, I've got 2 of them. Don't have as many as 3, but I have 2. I have 2.75 metres. So right, that is equals 2.75 metres. And if you don't like using the headings, if they confuse you, then just please remember it's 2 places. So I have to, this time I'm dividing by 100. I'm dividing 2 places because I'm going from small measurement to a bigger one. So if this were a decimal, the point always goes after the ones place, and I move it 2 places. Therefore my answer is 2.75. So either use the jump system or use the headings, whichever you prefer. And if they ask you then, which they do in the Stepping Stones book, they ask you how do you write this as a mixed number. Well, a mixed number, this is your whole number and this is your fraction. So you have 2 wholes and you have 75. I hope you've guessed this. Hundredths, correct, which is actually the same as 2 3/4 for those of you who are able to simplify. Okay. Thank you for watching. I hope this helps with your lesson.